Welcome to Selah Financial's Retirement Webinar Series. My name is Sharon Duncan, and I'm a certified financial planner professional. Selah specializes in helping individuals with financial planning, retirement planning, and plan implementation. Our company name, Selah, means to pause and consider wisely. If you don't already know us, you're about to discover that we take making informed decisions that are in your best interest very seriously. As CFP professionals with MBAs, the advisors at Selah Financial are well credentialed. On top of that, I've also been selected as a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider for investing. This endorsement means we have a strong bias towards eliminating debt and paying attention to your entire financial picture. We don't just collect and invest money before moving on to the next opportunity. For more information regarding our company, please visit our website. This Retire Now seminar is part of a seminar series that we have developed in response to the questions and concerns that we see in our business and in our community. We have divided the information we have to offer into different segments so that you can pick and choose the segments that you wish to view. This segment, Retire Now, centers around the question, can I retire now? In 15 minutes, we will cover important issues to consider when looking at retirement as an option for you and your family. Having a purpose. Retirement as a process, how to know when you have enough money to retire, and how income planning fits into the picture. We are, of course, available if you need individualized assistance. Deciding to retire is like picking a career. Some people know for years or even decades before retirement when they're going to retire, what they're going to do in retirement, where they want to live, how much money they plan to spend, etc. For a few folks, things work out according to plan, and congratulations if you're in this group of people. Most people have no idea when or how to retire or what they'll do in retirement. Most people have vague ideas but not much detail. Others haven't even pondered the question yet. These days we are seeing more and more folks in our community who have hardly considered the question at all but now find themselves downsized by their company. For some, now is the time to seriously think this through. Should you retire? Let's start by looking at the idea of purpose. I know we're financial advisors and we're supposed to give you charts and figures, but we're going to start out with the emotional side of retirement. We're not psychologists, and I haven't played one on TV. I'm just sharing what we've seen from our point of view. It turns out that people need purpose. Without purpose, the quality of life diminishes. It seems that it doesn't much matter what the purpose is as long as it's meaningful to you. Your purpose can be gardening, visiting every football stadium, raising your grandchildren, mission work, working out for your favorite cause, or reading the classics. It really doesn't matter what the purpose is. It matters that you have a purpose. When you work, you have a purpose for getting up every single day. You have a schedule. You have structure. Now, you might not like the structure that your job imparts on your life, but there is structure nonetheless. In retirement, you need to create your own structure. You create the reason behind how you spend your day in order to have fulfillment. Retirement is a new life phase. What are you trying to achieve in this life phase? You now have 365 Saturdays in every year. Be thoughtful about how you use them. Be aware that completing the honey-do list doesn't really serve as a good purpose. It is a nice short-term goal, but it is not a purpose. People who enter into retirement with a honey-do list as their purpose can get pretty lost when the list runs out or they run out of interest in the list. Know what your purpose is going to be after you are done with your honey-do list. Use resources to determine your purpose if necessary. Ask your loved ones and trusted advisors. They probably already know a lot about what your purpose is or should be. There are also self-discovery books and even counselors who can help you in your quest to find a meaningful purpose. If you're stuck finding your purpose, use your lifelines and keep in mind that retirement is a process, not an event. Retirement doesn't mean what it used to mean. My grandfather worked his whole career in his meat business and then he retired. Retirement was a discrete event for him. It happened one day, and it only happened once. Nowadays, retirement is often a process, not an event. Sometimes it means you retire from your company because you are downsized or became eligible for a pension, but you don't retire from working altogether. Some people take another job, start businesses, or move to the job they have always dreamed about but didn't do for some reason. Think outside the box. Money may not be the same concern that it was when you were younger and had mouths to feed with limited resources. Consider the idea of your next venture or adventure. Know that you can change your mind. You are no longer looking for the perfect career for the next 30 years. Pick what you want to do now and change it when you want to change it. You really need to think differently because there is a wider set of choices available in retirement. If you need some help with this, consider the book 48 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller. It does a nice job of helping you figure out what is really important to you and how to align your work with your passions. If your retirement involves watching Wheel of Fortune, then you may have a problem. Now let's talk about the money. Can you afford to retire? Do you know the answer to this question? Well, it's really a trick question. You certainly should have a good idea of whether you can afford to retire, and we'll talk about how to do that in a second. Then, on the other hand, if you live out your statistical age, you probably have many years to come, and no one knows what the future holds. So don't take fancy reports with lots of charts and figures as gospel. If there's any doubt about whether you will have enough money in retirement, then we recommend that you have a competent financial advisor run a retirement analysis for you. We find that the do-it-yourself online analyses have some value, but are generally not as robust as the systems we use. We find that financial advisors who run analyses as a sales tool are not always as useful as we would like them to be. It turns out that putting junk into the analysis software will give you a very authoritative looking report of junk. Garbage in, garbage out. This is a very important question that will impact you for the rest of your life. We strongly recommend that you let a competent financial advisor help you out with this one. I don't really use a web page to determine my dental treatment plan, do you? I might use one for additional research, but I don't personally entrust the big questions in life to web pages. A good retirement analysis typically uses your data, your financial goals, industry statistics, and other assumptions to give you a statistical likelihood of your plan working, complete with graphs and tables of data to back it up. Some programs and web pages skip the statistical likelihood, but they pretty much all give you the graphs and data. Once you get a retirement analysis done, please understand right from the beginning that the results are wrong. Yes, you heard me. I said the results are wrong. I know that a 73% chance of success looks very exact, but it is not in reality. By definition, the results have to be wrong, and here's why. You have to provide data and assumptions to run a retirement analysis. You tell it how long you might live, how much return your investments might produce, and how much money you might spend. Well, getting these 3 points perfectly right for next week is nearly impossible, let alone for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. The results of your retirement analysis come from these and many more inputs. Get your inputs as reasonable as possible and then plan on the results being wrong. Be smart about the data you provide and how you read the results. Remember that carpenter saying, measure twice and cut once. When you make the initial assumptions, you can be either optimistic or pessimistic. Although optimism is usually a great practice, it can be a real problem in retirement planning. Be pessimistic. If you plan on a good investment return, you're being optimistic. That means that the report will have better looking results because it will look like you'll have more money. If you're wrong about your inputs or the assumptions, you may have less money than planned for. This can turn out poorly for you in the long run, although it feels good in the short run. If you plan on a low return, then you're being pessimistic. That means the report will tell you to plan on having less money. If your return turns out to be better than you planned, you'll just have more money, and most of us can cope with that just fine. It turns out that delivering pizzas is not a good way to make ends meet when you're 80 years old. Finally, recognize that errors will only magnify over time. Let's take a look at what that means. Wrong assumptions magnify over the years. Look at this example. This table shows the growth of $10,000 over 20, 30, and 40 years on the left, comparing a growth rate assumption of 10% and 12% across the top, both high rates of return currently. If you let $10,000 grow for 20 years at a 10% growth rate, you will have $67,000 at the end of 20 years. If you assumed a 12% growth rate, the number jumps to $96,000. A 2% difference in your assumption about your investment's rate of return makes a $29,000 difference here. If we look at 30 years, the difference grows to $126,000, and after 40 years, the difference grows to $478,000. These differences just cover one planning year. What if you're 50 and you have this level of error for 10 years? The more years your plan covers, the less accurate the projections are for the later years. So if you see a chart that looks something like this, then you know the error for the early years is much less than the error for the later years. The moral of this story? A retirement plan provides great information to consider in your planning process. It is just not as exact as it appears. If the results aren't right, well, why bother with a retirement plan? Going back to the idea of measuring twice and cutting once, you want to measure twice or more because measurement errors are common, but you still need to cut the wood to finish your project. There is a big difference between clear results and the muddy middle in retirement planning. Some plans say there is no way you'll have enough money to retire and spend $100,000 a year, even if your investments return 12%. Well, that's pretty clear. Other plans say that you can retire and live off $100,000 a year with a high likelihood of success, even if your investments return only 5%. Well, these plans are pretty clear. And then there's everything in the middle. Most people fall into the middle. The plan works if the assumptions are close to being correct, but a wrong assumption or an unanticipated tough life event can derail the plan. Use the results as another source of information as you explore the answers to important questions like, how much risk should I be taking? Can I completely retire, or do I need to make some money for a few more years? Can I really retire at 58? Work with a competent financial professional to make informed decisions. Now, let's briefly turn our attention to income planning. Income planning is important. To answer the most frequently asked question right up front, yes, getting a check a month is very doable and logistically easy to get done in most cases. Many retirees get a regular check just like they used to get a paycheck. Being able to provide a regular check is a sales gimmick that seems to be very popular these days. The sales gimmick seems to communicate that you should do business with so-and-so advisor because they know how to get you a regular check. Well, newsflash, the ability to produce a regular check says nothing about the skill or uniqueness of any advisor. It's just a sales line. It is very important to note that there is a difference between things that you can do and things that you should do. Whether you should get a regular check and how large that check should be is a completely different and very important question. We call this income planning. An income plan lines out where your income should come from, when it should start, and how much it should be. An income plan is being discussed more now that baby boomers are retiring. An income plan uses your data and assumptions to determine a recommendation for how to use your money during retirement and how your investment strategy can be adjusted to support your income plan. Income plans are relative newcomers compared to retirement analyses, so we see them being less frequently employed, and the approach isn't as standardized for income plans as it is for retirement analyses. Some of the common questions we address in our income plans are, which accounts should be used for withdrawals? How do required minimum distributions fit into the plan? What withdrawal rate is sustainable? How do I get my house paid off now that I'm retired? Where do I get income without paying the penalty because I'm not yet 59.5 years old? What investing choices fit my goals and situation during the retirement years, etc. Your income plan should be reviewed at least annually, and we again recommend that you use a competent financial advisor if you need any help. There are rules everywhere. The government has rules, investments have rules, companies have rules, etc. Some of our other webinars go into the rules in more detail. Don't get caught not knowing the rules that apply to you. For some retirement-related rules, there are no do-overs for mistakes. Let me say that again to make sure you heard me. For some retirement-related rules, there are no do-overs for mistakes. Retirement can be both exciting and scary. Having a purpose during your golden years really enhances the entire experience. Retirement's a process that's best done with planning and preparation. Use the planning resources available to you to best equip your family for success, including the other segments of our seminar series, our retirement analysis, an income plan, and/or the assistance of a competent financial advisor. Although we obviously can't do question and answers in these pre-recorded series, you are always welcome to call our office to ask any questions. Thank you for your time, and please pause and consider your retirement wisely.